Do something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
Well, howdy, beauty, sexiful people. What the hell am I trying to say there? Hello, beautiful, wonderful people. Sexy or not, I don't really care. It doesn't impact on my life, and nor should it impact on yours. How's your day going? Pardon me while I remove the rain from my goggles. It's a bit wet. It's been a lovely day, but this afternoon, as predicted, another big storm's coming through, and we missed, luckily, the brunt of it last night. We have seemed to cop a lot of the rain at the moment. The thunder seems to be a little north of us, and that's all right. But yeah, very, very heavy rain. I'm just watching the radar at the moment, and it says that rain is thinning, and we should have a bit of clear sky around for the next few hours. I don't know what clear sky in their mind is, but there is another cell coming, so I suspect that it's going to be one of those nights, transmission-wise, in and out, who knows? Hey, what's going on with the price of gold and silver? Well, right now, it's gone up a little bit from what I was looking at. Oh, no, it's dropped down again a little bit. So gold, 3,880.13. That's the spot price for an ounce of gold, and the spot price for silver is $45.32. It was $45.32 for most of the day. I popped in earlier, half an hour ago, and it had jumped up to $45.34, and I thought, oh, that might be the beginning of the trend. Keep an eye on that platinum price too, folks. Don't forget, if you're looking about investing in precious metals, platinum is a pretty good investment. And I say that because if I remove myself from there and hold this up, one of you, it's a black bag, one of you is about to get this, which does contain, don't you hate it when it, oh, there you go, I'll try and hold it on me. Anyway, it's an ANZI bag, got a little bit of platinum in there. So I can say that comfortably because I got it for you at Ainsley Bullion, where I happen to be today, where I finally managed to pick up one of those, the Ainsley 50th anniversary edition. Now, there's only 5,000 of those minted. Why is that important? Well, I didn't really care about it. By the way, those will be mailed tomorrow. You'll get them. They'll be a beautiful thing. Trust you have a good time and enjoy them. So why is it important that there are only 5,000 of those around? And I'll bring it up a bit closer for you to have a look at. The detail doesn't really come up on that camera, but can I tell you, it is just a beautiful, a beautiful, beautiful coin. It's not a coin even, it's a round, because on the obverse is the Ainsley Tree of Life, as you can see. So I'll try it. That's what I'll spin it. So there's the 50th anniversary side and the Tree of Life side. And I'll just make sure it's back together again and put it over here where it won't go anywhere. So, yes, Ainsley Bullion, fabulous, folks, ainsleyBullion.com.au. I was in today. Why did I go in there today? It wasn't to that particular round. That particular round is actually going in that. So it belongs to somebody else as well. But I went in to have a talk to their collectibles guys because I know nothing about collectibles, particularly when it comes to gold, silver, or anything else. So we're going to start a little regular piece, which I will put across onto FBN. You'll see a bit of it here, but the bulk of it, if you have an interest, will be over on the FBN Media YouTube channel and Rumble channels, because we want to start putting a bit more content on there, and we'll endeavor to put something new up every month. In the collectibles world, when it comes to precious metals, there is a phenomenal range, and comes from a variety of areas. And in fact, big into collectibles and has shown me some of his collection previously when we've met up, and he sent me a few more pictures today, and you'll be able to do that too. If you've got something you're really proud of, or maybe you've got something that you'd like an opinion on, then these two gentlemen that I'll be speaking to, or allowing, once I've edited it all together for us all to speak to, will be very happy to give you an honest, independent appraisal of what you've got. Got to understand, of course, that Ainsley Bullion are not collectible dealers. So they simply buy on whatever the price of silver or gold is that day. They don't care how pretty it looks. They don't care what's stamped on it. They don't care if it's rare, not rare, all those strange, weird, wonderful things. They will simply give you, if you're selling something like that, let's say it's an estate piece of jewelry, I don't know, it's coin, something that's very old, something. There are vintage bars I learned about today. So that's from bar makers from yesteryear. They don't exist anymore, or they don't exist on any scale anymore. And they are worth something to collectors, vintage bars. But if you don't know you've got them, you don't know you've got them. To you, it might have been just a stack that was left to you by somebody. You've never looked at the hallmarks on them. You've never thought to wonder what the names are stamped on there or the logos. Well, these guys will be able to help you out. Their names are Matt and Anthony. And I will endeavour to edit what I shot today over the next couple of days and have it up on FBN Media Saturday morning. It'll need some approval before I do make it go live. So it'll depend on when the team at Ainsley Bullion, Michael and the team there can have a look at it and say, all good. But I don't think we're telling any secrets out of turn. The Perth Mint won't be suing us anytime soon for breaking embargoes. But if you have questions about collectibles, that'll be the show to put it into. And if you have some of your own that you'd like to share, and just to say, well, hey, here's an interesting conversation starter, then send pictures, really nice close-up ones, if you can, not ones of you standing over here with it. That's not helpful. I can tell you that the next time I meet up with them, we will have a conversation about where money started, and we will show you a coin that one of these... I shit you. So, yeah, looking forward to that. And what sort of value does something like that hold? It'll be interesting. Thanks, Paul. You said, yep, Operation Popeye certainly was what you say all about. And it continued, obviously, into what we're seeing today. Storm was quite intense, Dusty. Yeah, I've got in-laws in Oxenford too. My mum's down that way. So, well, sort of near there. So, yeah, pretty intense. I think we're lucky. While we did get a lot of the wind, I haven't seen huge amounts of lightning flashes. I have heard thunder, but yeah, and it does, well, looking over at the radar, got to be honest, it doesn't look like the radar's really updated terribly much in the last half an hour or so. So whether the thing's moving or not remains to be seen. Although the van doesn't appear to be rocking as much, there is still a fair bit of rain outside. Raining all day down near you too, Sandy. Yes, the donkeys will need webbed feet. They're too cute already, but can you imagine what they'd be like with webbed hoofs? It'd be pretty cool. You're the only one that got the gag, Dave, or at least the only one that mentioned it. The wind is so strong, the placeholder is sideways. I was play around with it. Behind the game here. So I didn't know you were going to hospital. I didn't know you were in hospital. The legs and the issue, this is not good. But I see news that you're still able to crack silly jokes and a little bit of screaming if you know about it. Mate, get well soon. If I can help in any way, just, reach out, see what we can do for you. But I know you've got a serious complication with that, so I hope things go well. Chris O's back in the room. Been ages, buddy. Been ages and ages and ages. I was hearing stories that you thought you were banned. Well, I don't think I banned you. I don't think anybody else had banned you. I mean, you do get to come in here and have a bit of a chat, which is all well and good. So welcome back is all I can say. It's been a little while. All right. Yeah, Colleen. Florida. Well, that's a very good subject that you. Oh, what happened there? That's a very good subject that you raise. Florida right now is on the verge of Hurricane Milton, which is doing pretty amazing things in the Gulf of Mexico as it crosses across. Now, I'm just wanting to share this with you. This is a live feed at the moment. So the top right-hand corner is Key West. Now, Key West is the southernmost part of the United States of America, and it's the last in a chain of islands that sort of hook back into the Gulf off the bottom of the Florida Panhandle. So that's as far south as you get, and I've had this video, this particular live feed, up for the last hour and a half or so. When I first started watching it, those waves were occasionally crashing over the barrier there, very occasionally. Now it appears that every wave that's coming in is doing that, and they are predicting a storm surge of 15 feet or more. So what's that, 3.5, 4 meters? Well, 3.5, 3 meters. It's going to be a very wet time in Key West, a big party town as well. Over to the left-hand side, that is Tampa. There is a very large bridge over Tampa Bay in Florida. Raining, and old mate with his headlights on coming down the hill. Down the bottom, if you like, Tampa is the northernmost part or portion of Florida that's the interest at the moment on the southwest side, and Key West is the southernmost, and then in between, underneath, a little south of Tampa and directly underneath it on this split in the bottom left-hand corner is Sarasota and Fort Myers, which you can see is getting a bit of rain now coming in. Now that is, I forget the name of the resort, but that is a resort that looks out over the coast. So there is a bit coming in the next, well, they're saying at the moment it's moving at about 12 miles an hour. It's still a good couple of 100 miles off the coast. So, yeah, things in Florida, well, should not be too concerning at this point, because things in North Carolina are still amazingly concerning. I haven't been as deeply into it today as I have been in the last few days, simply because I've been driving, but I will be going into it when the show finishes tonight to see just how damaging FEMA is being, because we have heard stories that any FEMA or government representative saying that they were going to stop delivering or arrest anybody from delivering any kind of aid. Well, I found this video, thought it worthwhile. It seems to back that up.
By now, everyone's heard about what's going on in the western part of Carolina, eastern Tennessee, Florida, Georgia. Donate. Please donate what you can. Try to find a nonprofit to donate to, a church, local PD. A lot of those are taking donations, sheriff's departments. I know my department is running a bunch of stuff to the western part of the state to help. Donate. But please do not donate to FEMA. They are hindering a lot of what people are trying to accomplish out in the western part of the state. FEMA doesn't understand that these Appalachian people are built differently. I am very familiar with them. They are not going to stand by idly and have government officials tell them what to do. FEMA's playing a game of FAFO because free men don't ask for permission. Again, please donate and help these people out. They need us now more than ever.
So the donations keep flooding in, and now hopefully more of it is getting through. Yesterday there were still issues, and getting private flights, helicopters and aircraft in to really help these people, particularly helicopters that are capable of getting into tight wooded areas, woodland areas, because not every helicopter is suitable to just fly in and rescue somebody. There are helicopters from Robinson 22s, little R-22s, which are two-seat aircraft, two-seat helicopters. So they can't rescue anybody if you've got a pilot and somebody spotting. But what they can do is make they can be acting as spotters, and they can locate survivors. So there are those ranging all the way up to Chinooks. So there are Black Hawks, all sorts of things flying around. Supposedly, the Black Hawks and the Chinooks are all Army. The word that people there are saying about those Chinooks in particular is that they're in body recovery, but nobody actually believes that for whatever reason. So there's some weird shit going on in North Carolina, and now the focus is shifting to this part of Florida, the Tampa Bay area. It is not lost on me that the Tampa Bay area is also home to U.S. Central Command, or U.S. CENTCOM. In fact, if, as projected yesterday, I'm not sure if the track is still the same right now, but yesterday, the track of Hurricane Milton was straight in to the bay and straight up to the front door of US CENTCOM, straight over the top of it, and it is at sea level. So with a 3.5 meter, 15 foot, 16 foot swell or surge coming through, a great deal of CENTCOM water. Now, why is US CENTCOM so important? Well, it's important of Israel, in what's happening with Israel at the moment, and also the decisions being made for Ukraine and their NATO aircraft and other weapons that they have in that theater. So it is an extremely important base, and this weather event could shut it down. It would certainly be a test for any military, given the size and scale of the water that is coming that way. So Mar-a-Lago, they're targeting Donald Trump. I don't think that that they will be targeting Mar-a-Lago or Donald Trump, nor do I think Donald Trump will actually be at Mar-a-Lago if this cyclone is going overhead. I'd be very surprised if he was, but who knows? There would be many secret rooms that he could hide in, so including one that's probably nuclear bomb protected, so he could probably stay and be quite happy. And Mar-a-Lago has a very interesting history. If you are unaware, it at one point was America's White House. Some might suggest at 2 points it's America's White House. It has been America's White House. One of those points might be better stated as is, but I may be overreaching. At any rate, there is a lot of course, they don't want to see what's happened in North Carolina happen in Florida, and some pretty awful things are starting to happen in North Carolina too. Unfortunately, humans and our level of empathy, our level of humanity, our level of care for our fellow human beings in times of strife like this, we can become animals. And in North Carolina, they are seeing signs of just that, with aid trucks robbed by hillbillies coming down out of the hills, people being mugged if they have been further up the line, food and stuff first. There are properties being looted by residents who've survived and the initial whatever, but they seem to be going through what is left and well, stealing it. There's no other word for it. I can only assume that these would be things of value. Maybe it's gold and silver, safes. I don't know. Whatever they happen to stumble across that they think is of value to them and can help them at the time. It's probably humanity at its worst in certain parts of those hills, and a very, very dangerous place to be, which may also be why they don't want helicopters flying in with just civilians on them. I know I told you that I've got a friend who's been doing this, and he flies armed, so there would be no real problem if somebody wanted to do strange things, unless, of course, I guess they could fly his helicopter and didn't need him. That'd be a bit of a problem. But he's very aware of that situation, so we'll see what happens. But notice the U.S. government, the U.S. media isn't talking about any of that. They are covering, but that's about it. Those waves, I'm just watching that feed from Key West at the moment, and yeah, those waves, every fourth or fifth one is getting very, very big. So, all right, let's get into this. I'm going to throw a few things at you. Some of the things you may have heard before. If you're only new to this wonderful little journey of ours, then some of this might be a little weird and way out for you. Now, I offer this purely as information, a reference back to Q and some of the Q drops that we've had in the past. There has been many references to Disney over the years, and there's been many references to the pedophilia. And if you haven't seen it, please go and have a look at the very early Mickey Mouse cartoon. I think it's the first. Steamboat Willie was the first, I want to say, Mickey Mouse cartoon, but it might have been the first talkie Mickey Mouse cartoon. There is one where Mickey is working at a cheese factory, and if you watch what he's doing, making Swiss cheese, how he puts the hole in the cheese is, well, it's his penis. That was in like 1938. So I have the video here somewhere, but I don't have it with me now. I didn't mean to bring it up. I wanted to talk about this instead. Now, this interesting little video or picture is Minnie Mouse. Now, I haven't had the idea or the time to look back. I've had the idea, but I'd like to know what happened on the 10th of last month, bearing in mind that in the US, it's month, day, year. She was pointing at 9 and 2 or 9 and 10, 10 past the hour. There has been some conjecture over the years what Mickey's been pointing at 10 and 2. Some people have said it was 10 to 2, but it's not. His little hand is pointing at the 10. That is 10-10. Tomorrow is the 10th of the 10th. Just saying, Red October, weirder things have happened. And this has been in our face. The symbolism will be their downfall. This has been in our face all our lives. So let's just watch the news tomorrow, see what happens. I'm not going to say it's going to be something with Disney. It could be bigger than that. I did mention, I'm not sure if I mentioned it yesterday or not, but the US Congress at the moment is not sitting. There are no congressional days listed for October, which is unheard of given that it's the month before a federal election. Congress sits all the way up to and after. There are no sitting days, so no congressman in Congress. Okay. What happens if they were in Congress? Well, as it turns out, if the Congress is sitting and the congressmen are sitting in the Congress, because they're under congressional business and the Congress is sitting, yada, yada, yada. But if they are not sitting, then congressmen can be arrested. So there's no sitting days at all for October. Very, very, very weird situation, given there is a federal election, 3 or 4 weeks away. There is another interesting rule regarding the Congress, and that is that every congressman has been asked to provide a list of 5 names that, should they be unavailable further to continue their post, unable to continue due to an inability to breathe, maybe, they were asked to nominate 5 people to take their place. And should the congressman be unavailable, then one of those to represent them in the Congress until a new election could be held for that position. Interesting, don't you think? So if you've lost 100 congressmen, they're unable to do their thing. Those that are sworn in would be proxies and not able to be full congressmen, have all those powers. They'd just be seat warmers. But if you were missing 100 congressmen or more, there can be no federal election. It cannot be held. It cannot be held. Now, why would 100 congressmen be arrested? I know, seems weird, doesn't it? But those of you who've been following this channel for a while, and others, would know that we've been talking about mass arrests of the US Congress, praying for it for bloody years. I do believe this is Red October. God, I'm praying it's Red October. We've all had enough. We all want to see something like this happen. So, if there is mass arrests of US congressmen, why would they be arrested? Okay, we all know they're fraudulent and they're bloody corrupt and this, that, but how corrupt? And how are you going to prove that to, the hundreds of millions of Americans who are going to be glued to their TVs watching this news being fed to them by a compliant and corrupt media? Well, maybe it won't be quite as compliant or quite as corrupt. But what would turn the media against the Congress and all those that have been arrested? What about a Diddy tape? What about a lot of P. Diddy tapes? What about a lot of blackmail tapes of congressmen and many of the faces that you see presenting what has been the fake news of mainstream media? Well, they won't be presenting that bulletin. They'll be shown in it, maybe, but they won't be presenting it. There'll be a new face presenting it. Some newbie that they've dragged up out of nowhere and know they can trust, know who was unbiased, and know who the boss is. And the boss will be whoever is providing all of that evidence. And it will need to be significant. Now, if all this happens, and let's all pray that it is happening, we are seeing military moving around the world If the military aren't being involved in a war, then they're being involved in an exercise, Australians included. Somebody sent me pictures the other day of a Australian Hercules going into Cyprus. They thought that it was dropping weapons in for Israel, trying to do a deal and sneak in weapons for Israel, a bit of support from Australia. It turns out it was actually flying in an advance crew for the people getting at the Australians coming out of Israel and needing to get home. And we've had Qantas now, I think, do 3 or 4 flights out of Cyprus. So that was the advance crew going in. And I imagine they'll be there for a little while. Europe, if you're planning on going at the moment, you might want to rethink that, just between you, me, and the gatepost. Just because this is a movie doesn't mean there aren't going to be casualties, and there's no need, in my opinion, for you to go and stick yourself in the line of fire unless you absolutely, positively have to for some life-saving reason. At any rate, if it is an event, it's likely to be cancelled after some of the things that I hope and pray are going to be released, possibly from the 10th of the 10th. And I think it will start with evidence from the P. Diddy tapes. I think it could be global arrests, potentially beginning with Prince Andrew. There may be other royalty arrested as well. If we see any of those sorts of things, then, I hate to say it, it won't be, grab the popcorn, but it will be sit back, keep safe. Don't do anything, just watch. And I say that probably for a few weeks. And there will be a period of time where I guess we are going to lose communications. Don't lose the faith when that happens. Don't lose the faith. And in fact, if you have the opportunity, find yourself a friend. Cherie will be sorted because Gary, her husband, is all over this. But those ham radio operators around the world. This is, and I've got it turned on. This is a little radio that does a couple of different things on a couple of different bands. So get yourself something like this, because you don't want to transmit on one of those amateur ham radio frequencies. Don't go transmitting on there. That's a very, very bad thing. And they will find you very quickly if you do that. But you can listen, and that will be handy. Why would that be handy? Well, that sort of leads me to Elon Musk. Elon Musk has been out wearing some pretty weird T-shirts. We're launching to Mars shortly. We're going to hit on Mars shortly. We're going to land on Mars shortly. Donald Trump even referred to Mars not too long ago. What is Mars? Most people think it's the planet, but it actually means the military auxiliary radio system. Soon we will be going to Mars, was Elon Musk's quote, according to this. Now, there is a lot of interesting truth behind the Mars system. It is a very high quality, able to broadcast around the world kind of system. But not everybody has a ham radio. So for that reason, I'm wondering what other infrastructure has been put together. And we don't know what technology is available. We don't know what technology could be available. But I got to say, some pretty exciting technology might be available to allow that frequency or those frequencies to be used, as well as some video frequencies. And you'll find your devices come to life, and you'll be able to see pictures and all that. That'll mean we'll also start seeing explanations about what's going on. And I think we all want to see some of those confessions coming through. Who will they start with? Look, I don't know. They always said the first arrest will surprise ties. So it could be Donald Trump, it could be Biden, it could be Harris, it could be, well, God, it could be so many. But we'll just have to wait and see. Why do I say it could be Harris? Well, I say that because Harris, or should I say her husband, has some interesting connections going into North Carolina.
Folks, we have another bit of a rabbit hole to go down. So remember how we talked about the lithium mine and who owns it and who owns the rights and all that stuff. So it goes a little deeper. So the mining company that owns the rights to mine out that mine is called Albemarle's, and they are basically owned by different shareholders. The two biggest shareholders in that mining company, of course, are, you know it, BlackRock and Vanguard. So there is more players to all of this. So guess who has the biggest stake investments into BlackRock and Vanguard when it comes to mining this mine in the lithium? Well, that would be none other than Douglas Emhoff. You know who Douglas Emhoff is? Oh, well, that's Kamala Harris's husband. Yeah. And so guess who has the final say in the sign-off of the permits? That would be Kamala Harris. So there's a lot more going on, and they don't want you to know. And the thing is that, so Emhoff, his retirement accounts are heavily invested into BlackRock, Vanguard, and Charles Schwab.
I'll pull that out. Isn't that interesting? So it could have something to do with all of them, I would have thought. And yeah, absolutely all of them. Quick flash to seeing what's happening in Tampa at the moment. You can see just in the, whatever, how long have we been going? 40 minutes or so, that the intensity has certainly picked up at Key West and at Fort Myers. Looks like Sarasota has gone into a loop because I haven't seen a new picture of that in a while. And is there something coming down the bridge? Yes, it is moving. So the bridge still seems to be going okay. But yeah, definitely not the place you want to be at the moment in Florida. Yesterday, we were talking about the storms. I meant to show you. Probably the best ones came from the Higgins storm chasing mob. Yesterday in southeast Queensland, while the storms were raging in the afternoon over the southern Brisbane area, interesting things were being photographed inside them. So this is from the South Brisbane storm chasing team. It had a small funnel coming down through a convective cloud. Now, that's the beginnings, obviously, of a little tornado, but I did see another image, I think it was from Higgins, where there were 7 of them. Now, they were all still in the air. I believe they hadn't touched down, although I thought to be a funnel, they must have a point somewhere. But I don't know. I don't really know much about it. So I'm going to reach out to these storm chasing dudes. I used to know one years ago. Don't know whether or not he's still around or has the same phone number, but if he does, I'm going to reach out, see if he can enlighten us a little bit more on how all that actually works. There has been some interesting things thrown up in the media lately. Hillary Clinton has been out doing the rounds, and then there has been large images like that are being put around the place. Once again, people are being reminded of Evergreen, and that was, of course, the code name for Hillary Clinton. Also happened to be the name they used for the boat where they were transporting over 3,000 people, children mainly, and as it turned out, up to, I believe, 5 very, very significant weapon systems. I hesitate to say nuclear bombs because from what I've heard, some of the things that came off the Evergreen or the Evergrande when it crashed into the Suez Canal and went sideways and blocked it. Some of the weapons that came off there may be like real next generation stuff, and there were also weather altering weapons on there too. So interesting times ahead. Do I have anything else I wanted to show you tonight before I go back and have a look at the lists? I don't think I loaded too much else. Oh, I do have one thing I'd like to show you, but I should probably wait until the end of the show because it'll work in better and you'll understand why. All right, let's get into the chat, see what you guys have been up to. And I've got my wrong glasses on tonight. And I don't know, I think the other ones are out in the car. So Trump's in Cheyenne, is he, Chris? Righto, good. I would have put him there too, where his double is, or the clone, or whatever else they have flying around. All good. If you've got any questions, folks, throw them in down the bottom. I'll get to them, obviously, as I scroll down through here. Geez, Chris, you're holding court in here tonight, mate. Talking 1,000 mile an hour. More and more like a conspiracy theorist. Where are you? Who was that? Quadriver, was it? I am not a conspiracy theorist. I like to refer to myself as a conspiracy analyst because I will look at the conspiracy completely unbiased. I don't care whether the earth is flat or round. I care if they tell us it's round and it is flat, but why? That's the reason I want. I don't care that the world is flat. I care that they tell us it's not. And why? And if they're going to lie about that, what else are they going to lie about? So I call myself a conspiracy analyst. People who don't analyze and hear theory are theorists. If they just repeat theory, they're theorists. But I like to get in and try and find a bit. And if you go back through the shows, you'll find some of the early ones are pretty much out there. I was also called a conspiracy theorist when I was telling people not to get the jib, when I was telling people that they were part of a medical experiment. And I on the TGA's own website where it said that the results of the medical of the clinical trial will be available mid-July this year, I think it was. Might have been last year. And that's all I needed to see, the results of the clinical trial. The only difference between a clinical trial and a medical experiment is scale, size. Medical experiments are generally conducted on 1 to 100 people, maybe less than that, usually less than 100 people. So between 1 and 100. Anything above 100 is considered a clinical trial. During the jibbity jab cough session, the clinical trial had a large forced uptake. People weren't told it was a medical experiment. They weren't even told politely it was a clinical trial. And they called me a conspiracy theorist for telling you that it was. So no. We talk about things like tonight, things out of the Q world about Mickey. Long time, and there are many people in here who have. And I have an element of belief in it. I have a great desire for it to be true, but there are elements of it that I am very curious and careful of. And Donald Trump is one of those. While I think he's the best out of the bunch, is he the best for the world? Could he be the Antichrist? I'm not prepared to rule anything out at this stage except God wins. Get good with God, folks. That's what I'm saying, because it will be biblical. And that's not a conspiracy theory. That's a suggestion coming from somebody who's analyzed and looked at and now always has very close to him a Bible. For a reason. I know you were just probably being blatant. I'm probably getting a bit heavy. I'm not aiming it at you. But we have plenty of the cooked that come in here and throw around things like words like conspiracy theory. Yes, there are many theories, but I have found many strange truths by looking into those theories. And I would encourage you, if you've doubted anything that I've said here tonight, to go and do that. Please question me. Please prove me wrong. I will humbly admit that I am not going to get everything right. I may get everything wrong. But at least I'm trying. I'm not just sitting here with my thumb up my ass imagining shit and then putting a show together to talk to you about it. I do go and look at things more than once, and I do cross-reference. I don't get excited about things like, Australian Hercules flying into Cyprus when there are many other reasons why Hercs, particularly that model, would be particularly flying to that location. Admittedly, I didn't think about expatting, but that's exactly what it was for. So that's why I didn't tell you about this last week when it happened, because I needed to look at it from different ways. I needed to find out what else it could be rather than what it looked like. Because for too long, we have been trained to believe what it looks like. All right? That's the cycle we all have to stop. Stop believing what the government tells you it looks like. Start looking at what it does versus what it says. And we may have a way of moving forward. Some interesting reaction from last night's chat with Birchall, which we'll get into at another time. I'm also going to reach out to the Katter Party in Far North Queensland, our friends who are at Cairns News. And I want to tell you, boy, are they kicking some bloody goals there at the moment. Have a look at the story list that's up here just for today. I'm going to read out the first one. The second one, William Bay's trial. I'll endeavour to get a hold of Billy Bay and see whether or not he'd like to come on for a chat and find out those dates, and we'll try and pop in to the court and be there for him. Interesting too that you're not hearing anything about Cynthia. I don't know, how do you say that? Louis? Yeah, Cynthia Chinese. She's been caught flogging off land to China in the Torres Strait while accusing the LNP of selling off the assets. Yeah, right. And of course, the health minister is about to sign up Australia to the WHO's medical mafia agreement. There is a whole heap of brilliant information and news that you will not see in mainstream media or on a lot of other websites around the world. The Cairns News, not all that long ago, won a very prestigious award, and it gets views, huge page views every day. So go and check out. If they're not already bookmarked, then please bookmark them, because this is the webpage in Australia, in my opinion at least, that will give you the most amount of truth. The most amount of truth. Oh, I've been scrolling up and down and not showing you. Didn't believe you were seeing it. Sorry. So yeah, have a look at some of these headlines. It's just a great organisation, and the people behind it are solid guys. So they do have some good contacts into the political parties up north, and I dare say a few of the independents who are running up there as well. And I will look forward to giving anybody up there who would like the opportunity to help balance the books against the Labor, the Liberal, LNP monopoly of leadership. I will gladly help anybody who wants to be a part of the fix for that. And that means we need more people on the crossbench. As we were talking last night with Burchell, obviously the Liberal Democrats, or whatever they're calling themselves at the moment, are fielding a number of candidates. One Nation, I think, are putting one into every seat. It would be amazing if we could get, I don't know how many, but another six independents maybe on top of what's already there. It'd be great if we could get 10. It would make it impossible for the ruling party to get anything done without the consent of, I hope, sensible people who have stood for this election and are going to represent you and me in that place going forward. Speaking of representing you, me in that place going forward, Fatima Payman, the former Labor senator was she? Or representative? I can't remember. She has come out today and announced the launch of the Australians' Voice Party. Now, very early days, I watched her short press conference where she took a few questions. There is no policy detail yet, not a surprise, and it will be released in due time. She was very nervous. She was saying a lot of the right things to attract people like you and I who are interested in finding an alternative to the current incumbents, and obviously the alternative we'd like may involve a rope. While that alternative isn't available to us just yet, we're looking at other alternatives. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see what she really is. She was very nervous. She sounds quite young. She was saying all the right things, and then she said, and now I'd like to quote the great Gough Whitlam, at which point I nearly choked on my own tongue and brought up a little bit of vomit all at the same time. And I found it quite funny, maybe an omen, maybe a sign, that she misquoted him terribly, like screwed up the whole thing. It could have been that this is that defining 10-second bit they get for the news, right? And she screwed it. Oh, she screwed it like a Saturday night special on Fitzroy Street. It just, oh. Anyway, that could just be nerves. I would be nervous. Now we have two conservative voice parties for Australia, between her and Rennick's People First Party. So Australians' Voice, People First. Well, let's hope they're preferencing each other first up. There's got to be a deal there. And they both come from opposite sides of the political fence. Rennick, of course, from the Liberal side, and Fatima from the Labor side, even though they don't like her much anymore. You can be guaranteed she still has a lot of friends in there, and there will be some influence being wielded. Of course, they'll be trying to get her voted out as well, but they'll be trying to do it with a smile on their face, because they may just have to work with her, which would be the worst frigging thing for us. So I hesitate to say too much about Fatima Payman's Australians' Voice Party just yet, because I don't think it's, well, there's not much to really talk about with it just yet. I don't think it's not much of a shit show. Well, I think it's a whole shit show. But, yeah, well, let's just see what it stands up for. I think if she gets on a Sunday morning talk show, The Outsiders and that sort of stuff, she's not going to stand up to scrutiny in any way, shape, or form. Now, let me have a little look here. Look, I want to tell you about something that I'm thinking about starting. So I'm trying at the moment. You know how we always talk about switching away from Coles, Woolies, Aldi, big supermarkets and that kind of thing. And while it's not always entirely possible to do, I think it is possible and affordable to make changes that might even make your life a little bit at different points, particularly when it comes to your shopping. So at the moment, I'm trialing some products that, if they stack up and do what they say they're going to do, and they appear to be, pretty competitively priced, I can tell you that there is a bar, like a munchie bar, involved in the product range that is bloody beautiful, and it's good for weight loss. So I'm giving that a go. I'm also giving a lot of their other products a go, cleaning products in particular. Now, I am going to put their cleaning products to the test, because the amount of dirt, dust, and crap that gets into this bus from, because it gets quite hot. So you've got the windows open, but where there's so much dirt blowing around here that it always gets inside. You don't want to be a clean freak living out here at the moment. Not until we get the water truck going that's going to put a bit of water down on the dirt. But when it's not dirt, you'll be happy to know that it turns to mud, which doesn't matter what you do, you traipse inside. And then you basically got to wait until it dries. It's the easiest way to clean it up, or you wind up having to mop every 2 or 3 hours. I shit you not. It's awful. If you're that way inclined, I don't get too put off by it. I have the trusty vacuum. The little Dyson does a mighty job. It does get a workout and is on the charger every day, but it certainly does the job. So I also, got to clean plates and stuff I cook with and all that sort of stuff. But I'm really going to test this stuff, right? I am really going to test this stuff, because about 2 weeks ago, I bought 2, because they were on special, 2 iced coffees, about yay big. I had a fella in their car with me at the time and a whole heap of stuff in the back. I drank one of those iced coffees, and he very nicely stored the other one for me, which I forgot about. And he stored it in my console with a little lid down on it. You know where you put your arm? A couple of days ago, my car started to develop a really bad smell. And I had been to the tip. I'd done a bin run, and I thought, one of those bags has leaked, and I've got bin juice in the back. So I scrubbed out the back of the car and cleaned all that out, and then put a smelly thing in there, and all that was good. But I could still smell this really weird smell. Fast forward to yesterday, I've opened up the console looking for a pair of glasses and was greeted with an empty bottle and what can only be described as the site of an iced coffee nightmare explosion inside it. And on closer inspection, a little bit of it did manage to get out. But, oh my God. Oh. You can imagine what that would smell like after the heat we've been in for the last, week before this turned up. We'd had 2 weeks of really, really nice weather. And before that, I think 3 or 4 days of 30 plus degrees. That's what it smells like, all right. Horrendous. So, if ever there is a test, I am going to put these cleaning products to. It will be to clean that out and get rid of that stench in there. So, yes, I'm very hopeful that they can do the job. If they're not, able to do the job. I'm going to need to go to a car detailer, I think, because fair thing of it smells like... Oh, God, it's awful. Are you eating dinner tonight? Have you already had that? How's daylight savings going for you? Enjoying it? Having fun? Yeah. All right. How long have I prattled for? Oh, look, we've gone the hour. It's been a big day. I was out of bed for some stupid bloody reason. I woke up at 3:30 this morning. I didn't get out of bed, but I've had sore hips for some reasons. I don't exactly know what those reasons are. I haven't been terribly active. It might have something to do with this seat that I sit in, and I do tend to sit in it a bit, particularly on wet days. So I'm chewing on my X39 patches. And when I say chewing on them, I'm actually putting them on. I've got 2 on at the moment, and I'm going to update and put 1 on each hip tonight when I go to bed, because for some reason, my lower back, my hips, very, very sore at the moment. Maybe it's because I haven't been out doing much exercise. I haven't been climbing trucks and doing things. That's going to change as soon as the rain stops. We've got a little job to do, which should prove to be something we can potentially put up on FBN Media, and hopefully, well, if we do have disasters, we'll capture them. But hopefully, it'll be an educational thing. We'll put up. We're building something here on the property, so we'll see whether or not we can get it up without it falling down on us and killing any of us, which will be a good start. But all that and more to come soon. And tonight, if you are interested in a self-managed super fund, it's just started. There is a link in the description to this program. Get into a self-managed super fund. Cass is doing her Q&A tonight. She hasn't been doing them for a long time. So if you've got a question for her, then tonight's the night to get her. And, I think it's the first time she's been back since Achilles. And she might even show you, she got a tattoo the other day, so of him, just beautiful. She's also got some magnificent artwork from him today as well. So if you'd like to pop over, the link is in description. It's a Zoom meeting. And if you are still invested in Big Super, get out now and go over there. Find out from Cass and the Freedom Financial Solutions girls exactly how fast you can turn your pile of super that they own into an asset that you control and take control of your wealth. I'm going to love you and leave you with one final video for this evening. I've managed to find a dickhead of the day.
Yeah, no correlation to that man in front of us at all. Oh! Oh!
Gets up, push starts it, keeps going. Dickhead of the day on a dirt bike. Unregistered, probably underage. The dickheads are everywhere, folks. Please, please be safe. God bless you. Talk to you tomorrow.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!